What up, pilots? With the anticipation of GD03 just right around the corner and the release of STO7 and STO8, I, like many others, have been getting the itch to want to start kind of trying to take a peek, future sight, if you will, haha, into what GD03 could look for us moving forward. And I kept looking at a bunch of different cards, one of which we've already reviewed in Barbados Adapt, and how much it opens up the meta to different types of play, being able to ping standing units. So with that being said, I wanted to take advantage of being able to do that and a couple other cards that I've noticed throughout the meta being a nuisance but not being on top. First of all, we all know that some of the most powerful keywords in the game include suppression and high maneuver, and I thought about what if we could combine those two principles into one deck. So with that being said, as you can see from the title and description of the video, today we'll be showcasing what I like to call Purple Shinanju. It'll utilize Barbados Adapt, Shinanju, of course, and a couple other goodies along the way. And as we reveal the cards, we can talk about why the choices were made. Is this the perfect 50? And what can we do to supplement other cards into the build? So with that being said, let's start off with some of the cards. One card that's already been here that needs no introduction is our boy Ryusei Go. This is going to be one of our earlier units to use, and it'll also help us filter and cycle through our hand when we're looking to make connecting combo pieces, either looking for a pilot or maybe one more command, which you'll see later on in the video, or maybe just one more unit to try and push for game. So this card is pretty integral, along with being able to enable our other card, Mr. First Form himself. I also think that moving forward in the GD03, this is going to start being a nice opening package for any deck wanting to run purple, because both of these cards provide you with card draw, and pretty much Barbados First Form is a soft taunt. It may not have blocker, but once it's on the board and it draws that first card, or even before it draws the card, right? You want to try to get rid of this card as fast as possible, because as long as it sits on the board and draws your opponent, draws you +1, this card will just continue to snowball and gain advantage as long as it's on the board. So it's a early soft taunt that needs to be removed, and the longer it's here, the more advantage we get to create. And even in the later stages of the game, with it being able to swing for 5 when paired with Mika, allows us to trade into certain problematic units and draw a card. So remove a threat off the board and draw. This card needs no more glaze than what it's already been doing. Even the little bit that it has been doing has shown very much good promise. So with that being said, these are some of our early starting cards. Next, the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, we do have the proxy. We're not there yet. In the future, we will have these, and hopefully this comes in a plus variation, because I bet you they look sick if they do. But Barbados Adept, we've talked about this card in Ignasium already in the previous video. Please go and look at that if you want to just hear a whole breakdown about how this card will end up changing a lot of how purple wants to work in the future when it comes down to removal. But this guy right here is pretty key at the stat line, at the curve, even down to the stats. If you have to ping it, then it's just a 2-3. But being able to ping your opponent's standing units completely changes how a lot of strategies will end up moving forward, including this one. And of course, we have our Gujan Rebake, one of my favorite cards. It's been one of my favorite cards since it was introduced. I still think it's one of the strongest cards in purple as well, being able to not only block for purple, which is usually a trait only found in white or specially conditioned units, But on top of that, it also pings something on your opponent's board as well. And you can ping your own first form and then go off king. So just 2 for now. This might end up moving to 3. But the deck doesn't want to do too much blocking, but when it can, it will. And then on top of having a blocker in certain situations can really get you out of a sticky situation. So we included 2 in the list. Now, the card that a lot of people probably didn't see coming, but we did say suppression. Most people think Quibbly, but we're going a different route. We're going to go with the 4th form. It being able to ping something on your board and give it that plus AP alongside of being able to ping itself to give it sub-suppression, which you really don't have to do anymore. With all the enablers that we have in the deck that we've just shown, Adapt, Gujan, Ryusei Go, you can start to use this to pump up some of your other units that wouldn't bake the cake by themselves and help you swing in to either trade with units or crash into bases, etc., or you can pump itself up when you need to, as long as you have the Mikazuki. So yeah, and this being able to suppress, along with Shinanju being able to high maneuver and go for game, sounds like a winning combination. And spoiler alert, this is the capstone for both the red and purple. It's going to be at 6 because we don't want to rush, right? We do definitely want to control the board, but we want to attack. We want to attack pretty regularly and often and chip away at shields. So once we start putting people in range for suppression, even if this hurts and you hit 2 things off of life and put them down severely low, but then they get bases or they get pilots or anything burstable, you'll be able to use Shinanju to climb over a wall of blockers and hopefully swing for game and get your opponent unaware. But yeah, we are going to try out the 4th form. I kept playing with numbers 4, 3, 2, not 1, obviously, because we want to be able to utilize this a couple times throughout the match. So I've been playing around with the numbers, but for right now, this feels like a solid number. Let's go over to our red units. I am saving all the commands and pilots for last because we have a specific goal in mind when we also built this deck. Besides having the high maneuver and the suppression, there's one other little trick up my sleeve that makes this deck very unique. But let's go into the red units. Sailor's Mask. This card's just good. It's pretty good at the level that you play it, even if you don't have a token to pop. And this card might also find itself going up by 1, possibly with we have to see what ad balloons do and Cyclops team with all the tokens and stuff. So this card could find itself moving up from the ladder. But with all the ping that we already have in the deck between the purple and red units along with our commands, the tokens should not be an issue. However, this is here just in case, and it's already proven its stripes in other decks. So, you know, why not include it? With that being said, we're also going with 2 baby Kshatriya. Card links with who's in the deck already. You can't run red without saying Kshatriya, and you can't do full frontal without at least trying to have 1 or 2 targets accessible by that. Do we need it all the time? Do we want it all the time? Not really, but we do want some alternate options for our pilot to be able to jump into. And with that being said, you got the big Kashat. You have the little, you need the big. The big is the focus. The little is just some good tempo. And being able to burn with this and then chase it up with a lot of your other purple or red effect cards, your command cards, is just amazing. So you can play Adapt. 1 turn, weaken something that has 2, and then you can come in and play cleanup. And as long as this is on the board, if your opponent cannot remove this in a timely manner, following this up with other pings in the deck just makes it lights out. It's GG's. And then, of course, our capstone, 3 Shinanju. Being able to high maneuver is still the best keyword in the game. Fight me in the streets if you'd like to. but I do believe that it is the best keyword in the game. Is it the best unit in the game? Far from it. But the best keyword on a OK card that can also burn while buster bunking and all that. Very solid unit. And then when we put it in conjunction with the rest of the deck's strategy, makes for also another just really good capstone. So yeah, here's the 3 Shinanju. Let's get into the other half of the deck. Now, this is the other half of the deck. Chaos. Why is that part of the deck so thick? Because this deck was also made in mind with having 25, yes, you heard it right, 25 burstable effects, and most of our command cards are reactable as well. So let's start with our pilots. The man, the myth, the legend, the pay one, ping one god, Mikazuki. This guy be bleeding out his eye hole, and I think it's disturbing, and he needs help. But for right now, enough of this with other card effects makes your opponent bleed out their asshole. So, yeah, I'd rather bleed out my eye than my ass any day, so we need this guy to be on our side. He's a certified crash out, and he pairs with pretty much every purple card that we picked. He pairs with First Form. He pairs with Ryusei Go. He pairs with Adapt and Fourth Form. So he basically pairs with everything except for Gujan. So yeah, that's something to take note of, because he can just slot into anything that's purple besides Gujan on that side of the deck. So just having this guy immediately creates a problem for your opponent when more than half of your units are purple and linkable by this guy alone. And then we got our 3 full frontal. I need one more full art. Do not laugh at me. I don't want to hear it in the comments. But he needs to go. When he needs to go, he needs to go. If we can take advantage of summoning one of our baby Kshatriyas or anything like that, then sure, it's always a party time when you can do it. But we really just want this guy to go burr right now and make our opponent have to deal with it. And then 3 of our best girl, pinging. So we got 2 pilots that ping and do their thing. And the units that they go to are pretty pivotal. Even when you look at our red units, we're running 5 units that link with 3 of our pilots right there, and then 3 units with 3. I think these ratios are pretty damn good, and we see pretty much everything we need to when we draw with First Form and Ryusei Go. They usually link up when they need to link up. At one point, I was running 4 Marita and 4 Big Kshatriya, but I kept seeing it too much. And because the unit isn't a light unit to summon, you know, we're taking up pretty much a whole turn just to summon that. And if our numbers are off even by 1, it just doesn't work out. And because she doesn't have a lot of things that we wanted to include in the deck this time around that also could link her, her at 3 is just as good as full frontal being at 3 as well. And these are all burstable, which you will notice from the coming cards. Everything else in the deck that we're about to showcase is burstable. So we'll either see it out of life or have it react and disrupt the board. Let's start with our little cone. We got a little cone here. So all range attack. Pretty good card, but I didn't want to saturate. This is kind of just that tech against ad balloons and any other deck that might have already been weakened by swinging into your shields or being pinged by Kshatriya or Adept or Mikazuki himself, anything. Sometimes that one damage can clear out 2 to 3 units and give you back your board presence. So we are running one of it, and it's burstable. 2 close combat. I debated on having this card go up to up to 3, and it's still on the table for debate. But right now, these numbers feel good, and like I said, is this the perfect 50? Probably not. But the math the math be mathing a little bit, just a little bit. Moving on, we got 3 Close Combat, one of the best red reactionary cards. It also comes out from life, pings 1, they all ping 1. So if you swing and you think you're safe, you thought you weren't going to get touched, you might get pinged by Close Combat or up here, and then that makes our Battle of Aces live. Speaking of making Battle of Aces live, Adept will also make it live as well. And with us running 4 Adept, that's another reason why I want to go up to 3 on Battle of Aces. But right now, you know, sometimes you don't have that enabler, and sometimes they don't have anything damaged, and you don't really want to trade a unit in just to do this. You do it if you must, right? But that's not the goal. That's not the aspiration. So for right now, 2 is fine. And then we finish off our commands with 4 Fatal Strike. You might think this is excess, but this helps clean up the early game along with Close Combat. And then once again, if you hit it out of life, then ping 1 to anything. So the entire pyramid here, if hit in life, will cause 1 damage, which makes it easier, just that much easier, to kill something when you really need to. So that's our ping package, our, you know, reactionary, also proactive. And then last, we are going with 5 bases, and I'll explain why as well. So 4 Vesuvius. This turns cards that, like Ryusei, go early game into being able to bust a base and then trade with units that your opponent probably doesn't want you to trade with. Just overall, great card. And as long as it's here, your opponent wants to get rid of it, because being able to boost cards to be a little bit bigger to deal with strategies. Once again, just that one extra attack pretty much translates to 1 extra ping. And then you can trade smaller guys and the bigger guys, and then use your effects to clean up those remaining units. Last is Shuji's Hideout. It's also just there for the extra ping, but I'd rather control where my 1 damage goes to with the units from Vesalius than having this conditional card. And that is definitely not really a part of the last 50 of the perfect 50, but we needed to include it because we needed 5 bases, because since we're not inherently in blue or white, our draw is limited, and sometimes our hand starts to dwindle a little bit when we're doing the correct thing. Sometimes your opponent can answer the board, sometimes they can't. And when they can't, you get to take advantage of reusing your pings and stuff like that, but then you've already expended your hand, so you need cards to be able to help get you back into the race. So with that being said, 5 bases equals 5 draw cards at the very worst. And at the very best, we get to use all these effects in conjunction with drawing our cards, keeping our units on the board, using our command cards to keep us healthy and in the game, and have people stay away from our units, so we would continue to chip away at board and life simultaneously. It's like a trident. We got three ways of attack, man. We got high maneuver, we just got run in your face, and we also have suppression, so it'll quickly make up on the back foot if we ever get there. So for that reason, I wanted 5 bases. Now this base, if you're trying this deck out yourself, replace it with whatever, and then if you find better success with it, with the other thing that you choose, please leave it down in the comments. This was kind of a last minute throw in. Don't be surprised if this ends up just getting swapped out for the 6 cost, not the 6 cost, the 6 health base, just for that extra, point of defense. But between all of our command cards and all of our pinging units, we should be able to massacre the board and leave plenty of room for our guys to get in. And once again, the real sleeper kick of the deck is the fact that we're rocking 25 burstable cards. So there are supposed to be far few in between times where your opponent can safely swing at your life without having some type of repercussion or without giving you some type of card advantage to your hand. They swing, they hit a base, they give you a card. They swing and hit a ping, they take one. They swing and they hit one of your pilots, and then you have your pilot and then go off king. So this is some of the reasoning behind the deck. You can scoot Shinanju up. Some people like running 4 Shinanju. You can scoot the Barbados down. Maybe you don't really like the 4th form and you just want to use it in clutch situations. That's also fine. But as far as the math behind the deck and the reasonings behind the cards, they were picked with these goals and aspirations in mind. And I've been playtesting the deck with pretty good success. In fact, if you notice, the only new card in the deck is the Barbados Adept, but that's how strong and how much of a difference that card makes in the design and theory of how this works. Guys, let me know your thoughts. I'm down to take suggestions to make improvements to the deck. Barbados Adept is right around the corner, and luckily it's a rare. So in order to play this deck in tournament, I need the equivalent of like $5 more or something when the set comes out. I do have some other videos coming out this week. I want to talk about some problem children, and I want to talk about the golden child, but I won't say that, who it is right now. Thank you for tuning in, and leave your comments down below. Thank you.